Hey y'all, welcome to the MTG Hillbilly Show, where the magic's burning hotter than a moonshine glow. We're shuffling, dealing for the world to see. Come on down and join the fun all out of you to stay. Let it roll, let it roll. Love, skill, and soul. Tapping with our critters and spells, and when we win, you know we're ringing them bells. From morning till evening, we're never slow. Cardboard cracks the name of the game, you know. Lost in the draw, but we never let go. Playing for pride in the soft southern glow. Decking our hands in a grinning ear. Magic together with the folks we hold dear. Welcome to the MTG Hillbilly Show, where the magic's burning hotter than a moonshine glow. We're shuffling and dealing for the world to see. Come on down, join the fun and know how you do. Let it roll, let it roll. Let's get a little soul. Let it roll, let it roll. Let's get a little soul. Let it roll, let it roll. Let's get a little soul. Hey y'all, welcome to the MTG Hillbilly Show, where the magic's burning hotter than a moonshine glow. We're shuffling, dealing for the world to see. Come on down and join the fun all out of you.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. Thought I'd do something a little different today for this afternoon. May do it again tomorrow. But I figured I'd share my commander decks with everybody. All right. See what we got here. These two need to be deleted. So we'll go here, delete this deck. I want to save this one. We do not have we don't have this deck anymore. So we'll delete this. Okay. I took this list here. It's 149 cards. Fed it into AI. Let AI build me a CODIS deck. About 149. All good cards. Grab me a drink of water real quick. All right, that's better. All right. Yeah, I took 149 cards, fed them into AI. And this is what it came up with. The bracket 2. I wanted to keep it low bracket until I get used to playing it. Then add some more cards to it. We got 16 counters, only 2 draws. No, I need to put some more draws in here. 4 evasions, 38 lands, possible 39 with another card I got in here. 2 landfall triggers, which is Mossborn Hydra, retreat to Kamazandu. 2 recursions, 1 infect, 2 proliferates, 14 removal spells, lot of removal. Only 6 protection spells. Of course, Predator Ooze, it's not really a protection spell. Don't know why Arctic put it here in protection, but it did. I mean, it does get +1/+1 counters on it. It does have indestructible, which is pretty good. Got 8 ramp, 1 stack card that locks our opponent up a little bit. Cause artifacts, creatures, and lands my opponent controls comes into the battlefield tapped. So everything gets tapped. You play this on turn 4, which ain't too bad. Then we have Double League Season in this deck. And this is the version that I got. For proliferation, we got Alpha Authority. I don't know why Fog. Well, this is protection. Protection, we got Alpha Authority. Check creature, enchanted creature. Has hexproof and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. So if you have a creature out, if it has menace, we do have some menace in here. What's up, Samanucci? What's going on? Going over a AI generated. Well, not generated, because I gave the list to AI. And they came up with a 100-card commander deck. Don't know if it's any good or not. Have not played the deck yet. I gotta get some sleeves before I can actually play the deck to try it out, see if it's any good or not. I had like 149 cards to go in this deck, and didn't know what to cut from the deck, and what to keep in the deck. So I said, the heck with it. I was just feed the list to AI, see what AI comes up with. And this is AI generated commander deck. But anyway, for protection with Alpha Authority, Fog, Frenzen Bailoff, which makes creature spells you control can't be countered, combat damage can't be prevented. Predator Ooze, Ripples of Potential. It's a protection spell plus proliferates. Very good card for 2 mana, instant. You proliferate, then you choose any number of permanents you control that had a counter put on them this way and phase them out. So phase all your creatures out and you proliferate all your counters on them. So opponents can't get rid of your creatures, but you will be wide open until the tournament gets back to you. But you can, call your blocks, set your blocks up, block all their opponent's creatures, and then play this. Boom, no combat. Then we got Swiftfoot Boots. I don't know why I put this version in, but we do have Swiftfoot Boots. And we got different win cons in this deck. And since we are a +1 counters deck, we got Warden of the Grove, which puts +1 counter on stuff or creates a token. Warden collects Monstrous Raider, Trample, Haste. If you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put twice that many of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead. If an opponent would put one or more counters on a permanent or player, they put half that many of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead, rounded it down. So pretty good. Then we got the Ozolith, since we are a +1 counters deck. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on the Ozolith. Then at the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters on it, you may remove all counters from the Ozolith onto target creature, which is pretty good. Then we got the Earth Crystal. The Earth Crystal makes all your green spells cost one less to cast, and if one or more 1/1 counters would be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1 counters are put on that creature instead. Then for 6 mana, you can distribute 2 1/1 counters among 1 or 2 creatures you control. Very, very good. We got Stalwart Successor with Menace. It's one of our menace creatures. Whenever one or more counters are put on a creature you control, if it's the first time counters have been put on that creature this turn, put a 1/1 counter on that creature. So it will double our counters for once. For one, it'll put an extra counter on a creature is what it'll do. So not bad. Then we got Railway Brawler with Reach, Trample, 5/5 with Plot for 4. What's up, Matthew? Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put X 1/1 counters on it where X is its power. So if you get this on the battlefield, you'll have your creature will get more counters on it. Then we got Ouroboros in the deck. And we all know what Ouroboros does. You play standard. Very, very good card. Then we got Managorger Hydra. Trample. 1/1 for 3. Whenever a player casts a spell, put a 1/1 counter on Managorger Hydra. So you play this, and you pass your turn. The next player plays casts a spell. You'll put a +1 counter on this Hydra. We'll pass the turn to the next player. If they play a spell, you put another counter on this. And then your opponent will play a spell. Your last opponent will play a spell. You'll have another counter on this. So it'll have 3 counters. By the time it gets back to you, it'll be a 3/3. It's one of the best. And then when you play a spell, this will be a 4/4. A 4/4 Hydra with Trample. And every time an opponent plays a spell, this gets bigger. Not bad. Now, if we have Managorger Hydra out, we had Stewart Successor. That'll be an extra 1/1 counter on each turn. So instead of putting 1 counter on Managorger Hydra, you'll be putting 2 per turn instead of 1. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 by 8. So 4. All right, get this out. 4 turns. This will be an 8/8 with Trample. Very, very good. Then we get Loading Zone. If one or more counters would be put on a creature or spacecraft or planet you control, twice that many of each of those kinds of counters are put on it instead. And it does have warp for one, but we're not going to. But I don't plan on using the warp for this for warp. I do plan on playing it. It is in the deck. Then we got Innkeeper's Talent. And I'm not going to explain what Innkeeper's Talent does because, if you play a lot of Standard, you know what Innkeeper's Talent does. But for those that don't, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1 counter on target creature you control. Pay 1 permits you control with counters on them have ward 1. And then you pay 4 if you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player. Put twice that many of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead. Then we got Hydra's Growth. Hydra's Growth. When Hydra's Growth enters the battlefield, put a +1 counter on an enchanted creature. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of 1/1 counters on enchanted creature. So when you play this, your creature will have a +1/+1. Next turn, there'll be a 2/2. Turn after that, they'll go to a 4/4, 8/8, and creature can grow pretty quick with Hydra's Growth on it. Then we got Hardened Scales. If 1 or more 1/1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many plus 1/1 counters are put on it instead. So this will put even more counters on your creature. Very heavy on counters. We've got Hydra Constrictor. When it enters the battlefield, with the 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And then each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has menace. So it will give all your creatures menace. So every creature will have menace. So we got Hydra Constrictor out on the battlefield. We get our other creatures on the battlefield with counters on them. They'll have menace. But you attach Alpha Authority to that creature. Enchanted creature has hexproof and can't be blocked by more than one creature. So only one creature can block the menace creature. However, since this is attached to it, one creature cannot block your creature because it has menace. It takes 2. Well, this will only let one creature block it. So your opponent will not be able to block your menace creature, which is pretty good. Then we got Drix Fatemaker. With Drix Fatemaker is one of my favorite cards from Edge of Eternities. When this creature enters, it puts a +1 counter on target creature. Then each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So to give all your creatures that has +1/+1 counters trample. Then we got Bristly Bill in the deck. We all know what it does. It will double the number 1 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control for 5. And also, every time a land enters the battlefield, you can put a +1/+1 counter on a creature or Bristly Bill. Then we got Branching Evolution. With Branching Evolution enchantment, if one or more 1/1 counters will be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. So we got this effect on bunch of different cards in this deck, which gives us room to upgrade a little bit. Then for our draw, we got Cold-Eyed Selkie, 3 mana with Island Walk. So if your opponent controls an island, this cannot be blocked. Whenever Cold-Eyed Selkie deals combat damage to a player, you draw that many cards. So if this attacks, your opponent has an island, this attacks, you're going to draw 1 card. Now, if you put counters on this, so you put +1/+1 counter on this, and you attack your opponent, you're going to draw 2 cards equal to its power. Then we got Terra Symbiosis. Whenever a counter is put on a creature, you get to draw that many cards. The way this deck looks, it might be kind of strong. Then we got 4 evasions. Qualicus form, 1 blue mana. Enchanted creature can't be blocked. And whenever enchanted creature attacks, you get to scry 1. Then we got Haunted Cloak. Equipped creature has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. Equipped for 1. So for 4 mana, you can play this and equip it to give a creature Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. We got Herald of Secret Streams. With this creature out on the battlefield, creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked. So it'll make all our creatures unblockable. Because we're plan on putting +1 counters on all of our creatures. Then we got Skatewing Spy, 4 mana, 2/3. For 6 mana, you can adapt 2. Which adapt is if this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, put 2 1/1 counters on it. Then each creature you control with +1/+1 counter on it has flying. So to give so this card right here will give all our creatures flying. Then we got some landfall in here. We got 2 landfalls. Mossborn Hydra. We all know how it does. Very good card. Then Retreat 2 Kamazandu. This one, every time a land enters a battlefield, you put a +1 counter on target creature, or you gain 2 life. Very, very good. 2 recursions. Here's a sorcery that we could also use as a land. But anyway, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So it'll let you return a card from your graveyard back to your hand. Not bad. Then we got Evolution Witness. 3 mana, 2/1, Elf Shaman Mutant. With pay 2, adapt 2. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on Evolution Witness, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So if we get this out on the battlefield, every time we put counters on it, we will be able to return something from our graveyard back to our hand. But it has to be a permanent. And then we got 1 tutor. 8 ramp spells. 8 pieces of ramp. 3 tree root weaver. Soul ring. Poison dart frog. Kadoma of the West Tree. The reason why this is in ramp, because we're putting +1 counters on all our creatures, which means they're modified. And since they're modified, they'll have trample. And when they do combat damage, will be able to search our library for a land. We got Emerald Medallion to make our green creatures cost 1 less to cast. Cultivate to search for 2 lands. Commander Sphere and Arcane Signet. And for our land base, we got quite a bit of land base. We got, let's start from the bottom. We got Zagoroth Triumph. These are cards that I have. I have this deck. Watery Grave. We have a fetch land, Verdant Catacombs. Undercity Sewers. 5 swamps. 1 soulstone sanctuary. Simic Growth Chamber. Rogue's Passage. Wallacray Tower. Quandrix Campus. Opal Palace. Now, Opal Palace, such a great card. With Opal Palace, taps for a colorless. And you pay 1 and tap it. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. If you spend this mana to cast your commander, it enters with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it, equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. Very, very good land. Then we got Nesting Grounds. With Nesting Grounds, you pay 1, tap it, move a counter from target permanent you control onto a second target permanent, activate only as a sorcery. So you can move counters around on your battlefield onto another creature. Then we got Morphic Pool. Morphic Pool enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. This is Commander. So you're going to have 3 other opponents, so this is going to come in untapped. Then we got Lotus Field. Karn's Bastion. 4, tap it, proliferate. That's why this card's in here, because it proliferates. It's another way of proliferating. We got 3 islands. Then we got Gloomlake Verge. 7 forests. 1 Fable Passage. Exotic Orchard. Evolving Wilds. Detection Tower. Detection Tower. It's pretty good land because it taps for a colorless. But you can pay 1, tap it until end of turn. Your opponents and creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be targets of spells and abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof. So it cancels out hexproof for 1 mana. Well, you might as well say 2 mana because you'll have to tap this. So for 2 mana, you will be able to get rid of your opponent's hexproof. So if they're playing Swiftfoot Boots on a creature, you have Detection Tower on down the battlefield. You can pay 1, tap Detection Tower. That creature loses hexproof. Which is pretty good. Then we got Crystal Grotto. When it enters, you get to scry. Pay 1, tap this, add 1 mana of any color, or you tap it to add a colorless. Command Tower. Cascading Cataracts. Indestructible. You taps for a colorless, or you can pay 5, tap it, add 5 mana in any combination of colors. So you could add, so you got 5 mana of any color. And our last land we got in here is Breeding Pool. That is our land. And this is the AI deck. There is some win cons in this deck. There is no game changers in the deck. You can go here and it'll tell you if there's a game changer. And it's not. It is a solid Core 2 deck. With salt level of 42.39. Estimated deck cost, if you bought all these cards, you'd have to pay $765.98. As you can tell, I put on there 100 CODIS built by AI. And the reason why I put 100 on it, because, I was having issues making a CODIS deck. I got about almost 200 cards for this deck, counting the cards that's in it right now. But CODIS has Indestructible. It's 2/1 for 4 mana. Whenever CODIS deals combat damage to a player, exile top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of those spells with bounty value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. So you're stealing your opponent's stuff if CODIS is on the battlefield and attacks. And if CODIS is out and he gets a +1 counter, the next turn we play Skatewing Spy, or CODIS will have flying. Opponent has on the ground creatures, then we'll be able to fly right over our opponent. It hit them for 3, and then when we hit them for 3, we'll exile 3 of their cards. And we can play those 3 cards. These other cards I took out of the deck. We do have a couple different ways to win without CODIS. We got the Mossborn Hydra, which if Mossborn Hydra is out, as quick as we can build Mossborn Hydra up, we can equip Protheus to Mossborn Hydra, and it gives Mossborn Hydra Infect. And with Infect, Enchanted creature has Infect. It deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, and to players in the form of poison counters. So we'll poison our opponents, or we'll make our opponent's creatures weaker. And then say your opponent, say we have this attached to our Mossborn Hydra. It attacks, your opponent blocks. Your opponent's creatures will get -1/-1. And not only that, we'll be able, Mossborn Hydra will make contact with our opponent, and they'll get the excess damage in the form of poison damage, and they'll take the combat damage. But we also got another way to do that too. Since we have let's see, Innkeeper's Talent. We get it all the way up to 4. Once we get up to 4, we play Vraska, Betrayal Sting. She'll come in with double counters. Then go ahead and do her -9. We do her the -9. Our opponent's automatically going to take 10 poison counters, which will knock them out of the game. And if that's not enough, we also have other spells, like Delving Season in the deck, that will also act like the same thing as Innkeeper's Talent, which will automatically kill our opponents. And pretty fun looking deck. We got Trample, we got Unblockable, and it could kill our opponent pretty quick. But we do have one finisher. It's going Squinginate. Play X, black, black. Each opponent loses X life and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. Pretty good card. We don't have any removal in this deck. It is lacking removal. But what it's trying to do is get your stuff down, get counters on as quick as possible, and take the game over. But that's what the deck is trying to do from what it looks like. Because I do not see any removal. Well, I mean, take it back. We do have removal. We got 14 removals. I was wrong. We got Aetherize, return all attacking creatures to their owner's hand. So you got 4 mana. Your opponent's got a big board. They come all in at you. You play Aetherize, and all those cards will go back to their hand. And if they're tapped out, and then they won't be able to play those cards, and maybe they'll have to discard those cards. Then we got Anoint with Affliction. Exile target creature if it has mana value 3 or less. So only mana value 3 or less is what this is going to target. Now you exile target creature if its controller has 3 or more poison counters. We are dealing with poison counters. So this will exile any creature, not just mana value 3 or less. Then we got Elastic Collar. Equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink equipped for 2. So we can give our creature Death Touch and Lifelink. We got a board wipe with Blasphemous Edict. And it gets around indestructible because each player sacrifices 13 creatures of their choice. Then we got Cankerbloom. Cankerbloom, the reason why it's under removal, because you pay 1, sacrifice Cankerbloom, and you destroy an artifact, enchantment, or you could proliferate. Very good in the deck. We got Deadly Recluse with Reach and Death Touch. Drown in Anchor. Target creature gets -4 until end of turn, then proliferate. So let's say your opponent has a 5/5. They have poison counters. You turn that 5/5 into a 1/1 and proliferate your opponent's poison counters. Then we got Imprison in the Moon, which will, you can take this, you can target somebody's commander, and that commander will not go back to the command zone because this does not remove the commander. It just turns the commander into a land, a colorless land. Then we got Murder, destroy target creature, Simic Manipulator with Evolve. 0/1 with Evolve. Evolve whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control. If that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1 counter on this creature. Then you may tap and remove 1 or more 1/1 counters from Simic Manipulator. Gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of +1 counters removed this way. And it does not say until end of turn. So you can steal your opponent's creatures with this card just by putting +1 counters on it. Then we got Sultai Charm, because this is a Sultai deck. Destroy target monocolored creature. destroy target artifact or enchantment, or draw 2 cards and then discard a card. We got Thornweld Archer with reach and death touch. 2/1. Very good creature. Then we got 3 steps ahead. Counter target spell, create a copy target artifact or creature, or draw 2 cards, then discard a card. We got Vow of Wilderness. Chant creature gets +3/+3, has trample, and can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. So you can use this to buff your creature up, or you can equip this to one of your opponent's creatures. If you equip this to one of your opponent's creatures, that creature cannot attack you. Very, very good. The only way you can get around this, if it's only 2 players. But this is my AI generated Kotus the Fangbearer. Fangkeeper. Keep calling him Fangbearer, but it's Fangkeeper. Never thought AI could come up with a deck like this. Does look pretty solid, I think. Could use a little bit less counters, probably. But probably a little bit more landfall. But if we get our Innkeeper's Talent out, or Double Season, or other cards like those out, then we can take somebody out as soon as this comes out on the battlefield. On turn 6. It's not too bad. Not too bad. But that is the AI Kotus deck. What's everybody's thought about this deck? Does it look like a good deck? Or does it look like might not work? What is y'all's thoughts? I mean, these cards here, we're not really dependent on these. Our opponent's going to want to keep Kotus off the battlefield more than any card because it steals their cards. And while we got Kotus out, we're building our board state up. Therefore, by us building our board state up, we'll be able to probably protect Kotus a little bit. And then if we get our Mossborn Hydra out and can attack with it, or we get our Vraska's Betrayal Sting, whoever's doing the most damage to us, we can take them out. That's the idea of it. But it is a core too. No game changers. Another deck that I have. It is the Wise Mothman. I figured I'd go over all my commander decks today. Something different than playing Arena. I'm out of deck ideas on Arena. Alright. We got the Wise Mothman. And with the Wise Mothman, there's the battlefield or attacks. Each player gets a rad counter. It even includes yourself. Then we got the Water Crystal. water crystal makes blue spells you cast cost one less to cast. Yeah. I think you want some control. I mean, if Codus gets exiled, he'll just go into the command. He'll just go into the command zone, and that'll be one less card that will target my other stuff. He's sort of a commander that people don't like going against. What he'll end up doing is drawing those cards away to the actual win con of that deck. I mean, yeah, we can use Codus for what he is, what he does. But that's not all we're trying to do, though. That's not all we're trying to do. But I understand where you're coming from there, Matthew. Makes sense. But anyway, we got the water crystal out. We'll play the wise Mothman because he'll cost one. He'll cost 3 mana if we have the water crystal out. The opponent would mill one or more cards. They mill that many cards plus 4 instead. So the rad counters, what you do, you draw, and then you will mill. And then when you mill, you will mill that one card plus 4 more cards. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fine though, because the Codus ain't the win con. People will think he's the win con, but he's not really the win con. Yeah, he's a great card. Don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to fool people into killing killing Codus to keep him off the battlefield. While I try to build work a different way. That's my idea of it. If I do get in with it, maybe I'll exile something good. But I appreciate the advice. But anyway, this is the water crystal. This is one of my favorite commander decks right now. Exactly, exactly, Matthew. It is a bluff because it's such a good card. I wanted to use it as a bluff. Then we got this Mothman, which is one of my favorite. Like I said, Mothman comes out. Everybody gets a rad counter. With a rad counter, you will draw, then you will mill. If water crystal is out, your opponents will mill extra cards, which is good. And then we got Hancock Ghoulish Mare. For each creature you control that's a zombie or mutant gets +X, where X is the number of counters on Hancock Ghoulish Mare. Also has Undying. If I was going to upgrade this deck more, this would be one of the cards to be cut. We don't have many mutant cards in this deck. Now that it has been upgraded, this is a bracket 3 deck. Salt Sum 44.38. For if you bought this deck, it'd be $337.26. Then we got Hardened Scales in this deck. Because we are dealing 1/1 counters again. Lily Bowen, Raging Grandma. Enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of 1/1 counters on it. Then when it gets to 16, its power 16 or less, double its power, double the number of 1/1 counters on it. Lily Bowen. If its power is 16 or less, otherwise remove all but one +1 counter from it. Then you gain 1 life for each +1/+1 counter removed this way. So this is your life gain. Yeah, it grows. Then you can remove all the counters but one and gain life. Gain your 15 life. Then we got Power Fist, which is such a great card. Equipped creature has trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, puts that many 1/1 counters on it. Equip it for 2. I would love to have another one of these cards. If I did, I would try to put it into my coldest deck. We got Strong the Brutish Thespian, Ward 2, with Enrage. Whenever Strong is dealt damage, you get 3 rad counters and put 3 1/1 counters on Strong. You gain life rather than lose life from radiation. So if your opponent would mill a non-land card with the rad counters, they'd lose a life and lose their rad. Well, you with Strong the Brutish Thespian on the battlefield, if you would mill a non-land card, and so you're losing life, you gain that life instead. Then we got Winding Constrictor. If one or more counters would be put on an artifact or creature you control, that many +1 of each of those kinds of counters are put on that permanent instead. If you would get 1 or more counters, you'd get that many +1 of each of those kind of counters instead. So this is, dealing with counters. We got 2 drain cards. Sanguine Bond and Sir Conrad the Grim. The Sanguine Bond, for those that don't know what it is, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So if we have Strong the Brutish out, we mill a non-land card from a rad. We'll gain that life, and when we do, one of our opponents will lose that much life. We got Sir Conrad the Grim. Loved this card when it was in standard. It was awesome. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves the graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. You pay 1 or black. Each player mills a card. And if you have the Water Crystal out, that's going to be 5 cards that they're going to mill instead of 1. You're going to mill 1, but your opponents are going to mill 5, which will get you deeper into their deck. Then we got 8 draws. We got plenty of draw in this deck. We got Contaminated Drink. Draw X cards, you get X half X. Then you get half X rad counters rounded up. Not bad. Then we got Phantom Mage. Whenever a +1 counter are put on this creature, you may draw a card. Guardian Project. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card. Creature name. A commander deck does not have but 1 creature of it only has one creature of each creature. I don't have doubles. So Guardian Project, very good in this deck. Harmonize draws 3. Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Then those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. We got Marcus Mutant Mayor. Vigilance, Trample. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card if that creature has a +1 counter on it. If that creature does not have a +1 counter on it, put 1 on it. So it'll buff your creature or it'll draw you a card. Then we got our game changer in here, Narset, Partner of Veils. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card. So if your opponent is looking for extra draw, if Narset's on the battlefield, they can't. They can only draw 1 card. Then you -2 to look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from it, and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order, in a random order. Then we got Struggle for Project Purity. As it enters the battlefield, choose Brotherhood or Enclave. With Brotherhood, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent draws a card. You draw a card for each card drawn this way. So if you choose Brotherhood, you're going to draw 3 cards, and your opponents are going to draw 1. That I do not want. Enclave. Whenever a player attacks you with 1 or more creatures, that player gets twice that many rad counters. So if they attack you, they get a rad counter. So you play Struggle for Project Purity. You want to always choose Enclave. Enclave. You do not want to choose Brotherhood, because we do not want to help our opponents draw what they need. Then we got 37 lands. We got 2 life gains here. Exquisite Blood, which combos with Sanguine Bond. And whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. When you gain that much life, target opponent loses that much life, and then when they lose life, you will gain life, and it just never stops. Then our other one is Profane Memento. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you gained 1 life. So if they lose a creature, you gain a life, which is pretty good. We got 14 mills, 14 cards that deal with mill. We got Bloatfly, Swarm, Insect Mutant. 0/0 enters the battlefield with 5 1/1 counters on it. Damage will be dealt to Bloatfly Swarm while it has +1/+1 counters on it. Prevent that damage, and remove that many 1/1 counters from it. Then give each player a rad counter for each 1/1 counter removed this way. So if it takes 5 damage, that'll be 5 rad counters to our opponents. So that means I'll have to mill 5 cards. More with our Water Crystal out, which is pretty good. Then we got Eddie the Judge, aka Bruvac. Anyway, with this card out on the battlefield, if an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they milled twice that many cards instead. So our opponents are really going to be milling a lot with this on the battlefield. Then we got Consuming Aberration, Star for 5 mana. This creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. Whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card. Then puts those cards into their graveyard. So whenever you cast a spell, your next spell, your opponent will have to mill cards until they reveal a land. And then they have to put all the rest of those cards into their graveyard. Then we got Hedron Crab with Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, target player mills 3 cards. So you target player. So you have to target opponent with this. So whoever's giving you trouble, you get to make them mill 3 cards. And we got Jace, Memory Adept. It's one of our planeswalkers. I think I got one. Yeah, I think I only got one planeswalker in here. Anyway, Jace, Memory Adept. +1, draw a card. The target player puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So it's not mill. Then you could also do is +0. Target player puts the top 10 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Then if you get them up to 7, any number of target players each draw 20 cards. So you can target yourself to draw 20 cards. Or you can target, and unless your opponent has less cards, you can make them draw 20 cards and then draw their whole deck out and deck themselves. But with this, you pretty much want to target yourself when you get his -7. Then we got Millstone. Millstone is pay 2. Target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. It's not mill, because in order for it to be a mill card, it has to say mill on it. However, it is targeting your opponent. Then we got Mind Crank. Whenever an opponent loses life, that player mills that many cards. So for every time they lose a rad counter, they will lose a life. When they lose that life, they will have to mill another card. Works very good with rad counters. Then we got Nightkin Ambusher with Ward 2. When it enters the battlefield, target player gets 4 rad counters. And Nightkin Ambusher can't be blocked as long as defending player has a rad counter. So I don't know why this would be here in the mill section, but it does get, when it enters, somebody gets 4 rads, that turns the mill on. So yeah. So when it whoever you give the rad counters to will not be able to block this creature. Then we got Nuke Launcher. For 2 mana, equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has Intimidate. With Intimidate, it means it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. And whenever equipped creature attacks until the end of defending player's next turn, that player gets 2 rad counters whenever they cast a spell. So it will keep your opponent from casting spells unless they want rad counters. We got Psychic Corrosion. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. It's pretty good. We got Riverturn Monuments. With Riverturn Monument with Singularity Rupture, that's a instant win. It will cause you'll cast Singularity Rupture, wiping the board, making your opponent mill half their library, round it down. Then you will play Riverturn Monument, exhaust it for 4 mana, and when you do, all your opponent will mill the rest of their deck. Then we got Ruin Crab with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 3 cards. Not bad. We got Screeching Scorch Beast for 6 mana. Flying Menace Bat Mutant 5/5. Whenever Screeching Scorch Beast attacks, each player gets 2 rad counters. Whenever 1 or more non-land cards are milled, you may create that many 2/2 black zombie mutant creature tokens. Do this only once each turn. So every time this attacks, and your opponent mills a non-land card, they'll lose their life. They will lose a rad, and you will create a 2/2 zombie mutant. Then we got Veteran Ice Climber. Veteran Ice Climber. This creature can't be blocked. Has vigilance. Whenever this creature attacks, up to 1 target player mills cards equal to this creature's power. So when this attacks, you can make somebody mill a card. Now, if and Mothman can put counters on Veteran Ice Climber, so when it puts counters on Veteran Ice Climber, you'll be able to make your opponent mill more cards. And then we got 5 recursions. We got Gaia's Blessing, because we are self-milling also. And since we're self-milling, I wanted to put this in the deck. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard onto their library, draw a card. And whenever Gaia's Blessing is put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So you will get all your cards back when this is put into the library. Into the graveyard from the library. Your deck. Not bad. Then we got Muldrotha, the Gravetide. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. So you can play a land, you can play a creature, you can play a artifact. You can play anything except for instants and sorceries. Then we got Ral, Troubleshooter. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from among cards in your graveyard that were milled this turn. When you tap it, each player mills a card. Then we have Reanimate. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its mana value. Well, not a bad card to reanimate a creature, any creature, onto your side of the battlefield. Then we got Virtue of Persistence. And it's removal / reanimates. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Not bad. Then we're only running 4 removals. I need to work on need to upgrade this a little bit more, put some more removals in. We got Tomanize, destroy target non-land permanent, then proliferate. Casualties of war, destroy an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. And we got putrefy, putrefied, putrefied. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. You got rampaging Gao guy. X 3 green 2/2 vigilance trample. When it enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. And when it enters on the battlefield, destroy any number of target artifacts and or enchantments with total mana value X or less. So if your opponent has, say you only have 3 green mana. Your opponent has some artifacts out that's 3 and less. You can destroy all of those. It's not a May ability, so you have to destroy yours too. It's not too bad though. Still, I mean, it is a 2/2, but it would be a bigger than that if you pay the X. We got 4 protections. Cathedral Acolyte. Each creature you control with a counter on it has Ward 1. Tap it, put a 1/1 counter on target creature that entered the battlefield this turn. Motivational Advantage. 3 mana. Permanents you control with counters on them gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. For all damage that would be dealt to those permanents this turn, then proliferates. So it'll make your creature stronger. We got No Mercy. Whenever a creature deals damage to you, destroy it. We got Propaganda. Propaganda, creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. We got 5 Proliferate. Agent Frank Horrigan has indestructible as long as it attacked this turn. So whenever it attacks, it will gain indestructible. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, proliferate twice. Contagion Clasp. When it enters the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Pay 4, tap it, proliferate. Exonerable Tide. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. So every time you get this on the battlefield, every time you cast a spell, you will proliferate. Then we got Radstorm. It has a storm, and the only thing it does is proliferate. We got Vexing Radghoul. Whenever Vexing Radghoul deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 red counters. If they don't have any red counters, otherwise proliferate. So if your opponent already has a red counter, then you just proliferate. We got 10 ramps. We got Talisman of Resilience, Talisman of Dominance, Talisman of Curiosity, Soul Ring, Rampant Growth, Dome of the West Tree, because we are putting +1 counters on our creatures. Herald and Bob First Numis. It's a Tree Folk mutant with vigilance and reach. When it dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest you control, and Enchanted Forest has tap to add 3 mana of any one color, and you get 2 rad counters. Not bad. We got Farseek. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Then we got cultivate. Search for two basic lands, put one into your hand, one onto the battlefield tapped. Arcane Signet. Add 1 minute to your commander's identity. We're gonna get no special kind of land in here at all. But that is the Wise Mothman. We got Egger. Egger is another deck I got. With Egger Markov, has Imminence, so every time you play a vampire, you get a token. Got Thirst Crusade. Whenever a creature you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on it. On each creature. War Leader's Call. Creatures you control get +1/+1. And when a creature enters, deals 1 damage to your opponent. And Pack Tremors deals 1 damage to your opponent for every creature that enters. But then we got Cordell Vampire. When another creature dies, put a +1 counter on each vampire you control. In this one, we do have the Sanguine Bond Exquisite Blood combo in this deck also. We got Skull Clamp, Vampiric Rites for sack. Let's see. We have Grave Pact in this because that'll make our opponent sack a creature if one of ours dies. So we have a way to sack our creatures that will make your opponent sack a creature. I thought I had No Mercy in here. But I don't guess I do. But anyway, this is the Egger Markov. We'll go over it tomorrow. But I thought I'd share my decks with y'all. These are cards that I added to the deck, and then I decided to take them out. Try to keep this deck upgraded. It is a bracket 3. Can play up to bracket 4, but it is a bracket 3. But anyway, folks, we're gonna get on off of here, and I will see everybody in the morning at 9 a.m. And in the morning, I will be doing some more arena, and then in the afternoon we'll take a look at the Egger Markov deck. But I'll see everybody in the morning at 9 a.m. But do me a favor, make sure you hit that like button. Thank you, channel members. Thank you, subscribers, for making the channel what it is. And I will see everybody in the morning. Y'all have an awesome rest of your day. Later, everybody.